Good.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spirit Cafe Sessions with Nikki and Kim. And we are on episode number 8. We're gonna let you guys know something. We totally skipped an episode that we had planned for you guys, didn't we?
Well, we didn't really skip
It's
it.
true. We didn't skip it. We just can't find it. We honestly can't find. We recorded it and we don't know where it went. So
It
so we're
went
gonna have
into
to
the never
re-record.
ever land.
Right. It's funny. Anyway,
hmm
we're super excited to introduce this episode because we think it's going to help educate a lot of people, maybe make people less scared. Kim, what's this episode about?
Well, this episode is about life, death, and the other side, and what happens when you cross over.
Yeah, which I think is really important because Kim brought up a good point to me the other day that a lot of people are super scared of it because there's a lot of misinformation going on over there, and people really just don't know. And it's nothing to be scared about. I
No,
think nothing to be scared about.
and it doesn't matter how you cross. There's too many opinions as to how you cross, of whether or not what happens to you. So,
Exactly. So I pulled the tarot card for this episode, which is interesting because it's the Three of Wands, which is
oh,
traveling, which is moving forward, which is crossing over into something calmly. It's having an adventure. Honestly, couple of you who are listening to this episode at the time might find that you're actually traveling. Maybe you're going on vacation, maybe you're going to see somebody, maybe you've got something going on in your life that's going to propel you forward. Because remember, Three of Swords, just because it's travel does not mean it's physical. It could absolutely mean that you are traveling spiritually, emotionally
hmm
forward, right? So I think that this is actually pretty interesting that the Three of Wands came up when we're talking about moving forward from this life.
hmm
Interesting. Interesting.
very much so. What are you drinking today?
Oh, yes. You see, I almost forgot. So
Mm,
the tea I'm drinking, it's green tea today because I was just in a green tea mood. I've been in a green tea mood this whole week, but it's just Higgins and Burke's Green Valley Forest tea, which is just lemongrass, and I like it because it's like chamomile tea. It's very calm. It's very soft. You can have it hot. You can have it cold. I have it hot today. Um, I don't know why it's like 35 Celsius here in Ontario on September. What is the date? September 24th. It's still
24th.
summer here in Ontario. But anyway, I like this tea because it's very calming and soothing. I like chamomile, which is also one of my favorite teas. And this tea does not put you to sleep, which is what I need. So be alert.
Good. Well,
Anyway,
I kind of wish I was there because I think might be like around 20. So
that's perfect in September. That's perfect, 20.
no, 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 no. I'd rather be 35 all year round.
That's fair.
Uh, yeah.
All right, Kim, take it away with the episode.
All right. So, there is so much information, misinformation, opinions, everything about what happens when you pass away. And the word death is a very scary word for most people. They hear it, they get anxious, they start, stressing out, and whether it's like maybe their possible death or maybe somebody else's death. Everybody, it can be different things too. Crossing over, demise, eternal rest, whatever you want. All those just kind of invoke like a fear or just a unsettledness for most people who do not know, because really most people don't actively want to know what happens when you cross over, because the idea scares them, because they
Yeah.
believe that's it, that you're done, it's over, and this life is gone. And I can tell you, as a spiritualist, absolutely, that is not true. We do not die. Okay. But we do leave this plane. We release these bodies, but that soul that's in you, There's spirit, your soul that comes in from the beginning, and when before you come here, and then you go there and you're here. It's always with you. That never
Mhm.
goes away.
Yeah, that
And
consciousness is always there.
yes, yes, and people will only talk about it if they're forced to. Nobody's just
Mhm.
going to have a conversation like this about it,
Nope.
and because it just they're scared, when it comes time, oh, you need to do a will, you need to do final, planning, things like that. I'm an end of life doula. So it's very good idea when you're right now and you're doing fine and everything's good to do a plan for that time. Cause you don't know at any time whether or not you could end up, in the hospital. There's accidents, there's all these things. So with that planning, then you can know that you're going to have what you want when you cross over. But you know, people just put it off because they don't want to think about it.
Yeah,
And
scary to
then
them.
there's yeah, and then there's a family pet. They'll say, oh, we took it to the dog went to the farm, and then they never see it again. The kids never see it again,
Yeah.
and or make other references like that. And unfortunately, that makes it scary if, for instance, mom and dad say, oh, let's go for a drive out to the farm today. And they'll be like, oh my God, like, that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means they're
Yeah, I
going
know what you
away.
mean.
Or if grandma's going to the farm, you're going to have you're going to have little kids having a
Yeah.
complete meltdown because, oh my gosh, that means, she's never going to come back.
Yep.
And so we need to make this as part of our conversation. We need to make this as part of our, you know, just to discuss it as easily as we would discuss and as we would discuss a baby being born
Yes.
or, you know, people getting married or whatever. But you can easily, who thinks twice about talking about, oh yeah, my friend had a baby or, oh yeah, we're having a baby. Nobody talks about death like that. And we need to, because
Yeah.
we need to remove that fear. We need to remove the
Stigma
things that are
around it.
inside your head that make you feel like this is a bad thing.
Like it's
Okay.
taboo, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter how much you could talk about it. You could talk about it all the time. That's not going to, make it happen faster. Because if it did, I'd probably be gone by
Mm. It's
now.
so true. You know what? It's so true though. People glide over it. When it comes up in a talk, they glide over it. They don't want to talk about it. And I think it's very counterproductive. My kids know all this. I don't hide any of it from them. I don't believe it. I wasn't raised that way. I know that I already knew if I ever had kids, I would never raise my kids that way either. Exactly. When somebody passed away, my mom was they passed away. They passed away from cancer. Nicole, they passed away from cancer. This is what it means. So death was never scary to me, but I am fortunate and appreciative that that's how me and my siblings were raised. And same with my kids, they're at that age where people are passing away,
Yep.
right? And they have to go to funerals. They have to go to funerals. They have to go to visitations.
Hmm.
Um, especially when it's somebody in the family and they go and I don't shield them from anything. I'm very open with it, and I've learned one thing because I don't sugarcoat it. They ask questions about it, and they ask good questions about it, and they ask thought-provoking questions about it. So you hit like nail on the head right there, Kim. It's got to be talked about. It's got
It
to be
does. Because if you don't, it's, I have a very good, my very best friend since I was 9 years old. She lost her husband when in an accident, and she
Mhm.
was expecting their third child, and they had two little kids, and her husband passed away. And, you know, people are around immediately, right? Like sick comes, people will come in and they'll be, like trying to be helpful or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
But she says, like, after about 2 weeks, everybody goes to back to their, and they should go back to their lives, but that just leaves them. And those
Yeah.
people are lonely. And then it leaves those people who they don't know what to say. And they'll even like see them on the street and they'll go somewhere else so they don't have to talk to them,
Oh.
you
Oh.
know? Um, and they do that. That happens a lot. If somebody sees somebody that, because that makes them feel like, oh, well, if I talk to them, then, maybe it's going to happen to me, but like it's not contagious. It's not.
Mm.
It's just a part of life. And, you might be the only person who will go up to somebody that day and say, "Hey, hi." And if you don't know what to say, just say, "I'm really sorry. I wanted to say hi. I want to talk to you.
Honest. Yeah.
I just don't know what to say because I'm scared I'm going to screw up or I'm going to say
Yeah.
something wrong." Just be completely honest, and they're going to appreciate that because you took the time and you explained why you were fearful of it. Okay. So you need to, like, even there's a thing like people are like, "Oh, I don't know what to say, or whatever." Well, you're not going to suddenly remind them that their loved one's gone, that has
Of
passed
course.
away,
Mhm.
so nothing you're going to say is going to make it worse,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
You know, unless you're ignore them and you're, just don't say anything at all. But definitely go talk to them and maybe even just say, can we get together at some point? I want to hear some good stories. Like you have
Mhm.
some of your favorite memories. And this is going to help these people so much
Yeah.
because they're going to be able to talk about their loved one. And that's just really what should happen
Yeah.
and to keep them alive.
I agree.
It's scary because we're told, right? Whether you're watching movies, books, people telling stories, it's not, it, there's some things that can happen. And are you going to go to the fiery eternity, or are you going to go to heaven? Like, what are you going to do? All these questions. And, my grandmother, I still remember, had this like big poster picture on her wall and it had like all these people on the bottom. There's tons and tons of people on the bottom. And then there's like the stairs and then it kind of got like thinner and thinner and thinner. And there's just like tiny little bits of people going up there. Well, how scary is that? That you're never like are going to live your life? Like, am I ever possibly going to get to that? Like, am I going to be able to attain that? I don't want to go to a fiery hell. Of course, you're going to be scared if you think that's where you're going
Of course.
you know um some religions, that's just what they do. Personally, spiritualism, I don't believe that there is a hell. There isn't a fiery place.
I do.
um Everybody goes, and it's love. So
Yes.
I just want people to know that. I'm not saying that you should take what I say over what your own beliefs are, but if you do think that something really bad is going to happen, I do encourage you to maybe talk to a few people and kind of do some reading and stuff. And maybe you'll see a different point of view or you won't. That's up to you. But I just want you to know that um, you should just be comfortable,
You know
just
what's
comfortable with the idea.
you know what's very interesting with what you said? There was here I go nerding out, but whatever. There was a study and it's published on the National Health Institute's website. And the study was, I wrote it down, it was by Nancy Bush and Bruce Grayson. And they did a study on NDEs, which in near death experiences, and why people have distressing NDAs, because there should be nothing distressing about a near death experience consciously, but there is. And it's such a fascinating study. It's long, but I mean, if this is something that interests you, I mean, they've got examples, they've got test subjects. Anyway, they realize that everybody in this study that had reported having a distressing near death experience, where they felt like their souls were leaving, their body and whatnot, had an undercore belief that there was a hell,
Hmm.
or that they've committed a sin that would lead them into one of the seven circles of hell.
Hmm.
Uh, Not one, according to the study, from what I read, had anything to do with, like, it was all just low vibrational beliefs of what happens when you die if you sin. So I'm not saying that, like Kim said, you believe what you believe, and if that is something, that you hold true, then you hold true to that. But there are studies out there that have come out that said a lot of people who have really scary near death experiences have the core belief that they're that hell exists, that they've done something to deserve to go to hell instead of, a beautiful, beautiful calming place, which is not true at all.
No,
right?
no, you are, it's definitely, there is stories, but a lot of times, what your beliefs here, when you're on this plane, what your beliefs are will pretty much align when you first cross over because they don't want to put you into shock. They don't want to like freak you out. They want
Makes
to bring you
sense.
into
Yeah.
something that feels comfortable until you can kind of, get to where you've lost all your ego, you've lost everything that's here because that's what happens when you cross over.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can start to feel what actually resonates with you. And because we don't want to be, there's no reason to be scared.
Mm-mm.
Like
I don't think so either.
fear-based ideologies, whether it's political or, religious things, those are just, you need to start to feel who you are and what your beliefs are. And don't let
Absolutely.
it color those ideas of you living. Because if you do that, you are never, ever going to live because you
Agreed.
can't live. You can't live if you are so worried about dying.
Agreed.
And kind of talk about it. There is a song that really made a lot, makes a big difference to me. It really resonates with me when it first came out too, was with Tim McGraw sings Live Like You Were Dying
Yeah.
and all the things you
Another
should do, um, you need to start doing these things that you've been putting off. And, and these are just things you're putting off because you're too busy or you're too, you don't, you're focusing too much on, you know, producing things for your ego. And you need to produce things for your soul and for your heart.
Oh, I love
You know?
that. Oh,
So
that's true.
choose the things that are going to fill you up, not the things that are going to drain you and put you into a highly stressed place where, your family maybe has to like, feel like they're walking on eggshells around you, or you constantly feel like you have to pull yourself back because you're grumpy, because you're just not putting your energy into the things that really matter. You're putting it
Yeah.
into things that have really no, like, there's no currency. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's just a waste and it's a block. So do these things. Live like every day could be your last because you never really know.
Absolutely.
Say the things
Absolutely.
you want to say to someone. Don't be worried about, you know, oh, I shouldn't say that. Oh, or I shouldn't say, whatever. Don't be worried about those things, about saying those things because you know what? Everybody everybody has these kind of fears. So, they probably want to hear someone say, I actually, I love you, or let's try this,
Yeah.
or we'll do things like that. People want to hear that.
Yeah.
And don't be scared and put yourself out there. And if it's does something that is kind of a failure, that's your lesson. You move on and you're better for it
Yeah.
because you did it, right? Like
Yeah.
why live without doing that?
Oh,
But
I love that.
yeah, and like in the podcasts that I've listened, because I listen to so many, you know, they're just so the near death experiences, they could just be so beautiful. And these people who have them, they a lot of times the reason why they're back is because they have now a mission that they've now
Yes.
realized.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that the ones that do have it, a lot of times they're not living authentically themselves. Because when they do that, they see what their actual um, reason is and what their, like
Yes.
their sole purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come and they'll change everything, like they'll start
I
doing
believe
things that
that.
they're supposed to do. They'll start encouraging people, like, and they'll start things up. So
I
it's
believe it.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful. So you just kind of give yourself a okay and just do it because you could possibly not get another chance.
There's too many stories, there's too many documented, medically documented, by the way, stories and situations where people have had, NDEs and they're beautiful and they're uplifting. There's too many, and a lot of them are so similar, included some of the very, very early ones ever documented that most of the public didn't even get to see or read because they're locked away or they're not published in some journal. But there's so many documented out there, whether the general public has read them or not. They all, not all, but majority of them, honestly, majority of them all describe the same kind of feeling that we have with our, like, what our
Mhm.
consciousness goes through. Um,
Mhm.
Almost to a T. Yes, from the white light. Yes, to the family, like to seeing your passed on loved ones. But the interesting thing though is with these stories, all I just have three. I don't know if I'll read all three, but it doesn't matter. The one thing that all three of them have is the feeling of realizing that they're their own sovereign being and that they're so calm and they're so at peace and they say they all come back saying they've never in their conscious life here felt anything so calming and loving and joyful than when they experienced that moment just before they were about to, before they came back. And that I think is when I
Well,
read because I knew that. I knew it. But I did but the to see read all the stories where they described that feeling was like, wow, like absolute peace.
and all of those ones who do that, um, a lot of them don't wanna come back here, but they
Mhm.
do because they know they've realized their mission, but they also they no longer fear death
Yeah.
because they know
They
how
don't.
beautiful it is.
They
So,
don't. They wait for
that
it. They're
is
welcome.
if that isn't perfect and beautiful. And
Yeah.
another funny thing, one thing that really is kind of cool, I have read more than one about a near death experience or listened to a story or whatever. There's been
Right.
more than one where the person who has been, maybe in the accident or whatever, when they do that, prior to that happening, they're blind. They don't see color. Whatever. They're blind. They don't see
Right. Right.
stuff.
Right. Right. Right.
But when they come back, they can describe who was working on them. They can like color shoes, how the room was set up. They can see.
I have that. I have a story about
They
that.
can see.
Yeah. Where they freaked out the doctors.
Yeah.
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 I'm
And
gonna
so
read.
you
I'm gonna
can't
read
tell
one.
me that someone, you want to do that now?
No, you finish yours and then I'll read the story about the medical stuff because it
Okay.
freaked them out.
Okay.
Doctors.
Okay. Yeah. It's really cool. It's really cool. So keep these things in mind when we're talking. Um, I personally have never had a near death experience, but I have had a very profound experience
Yeah.
relating to death. And I've been, working with spiritualism and it's just recently, now that we've kind of started this, that I'm really realizing that I was getting, I guess, I don't know, for lack of better word, like downloads for a very long time. Things just come
So
into my
calm
head
down.
and,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it's just, yeah, it's just how I am. And I've just really started to realize, oh my gosh, like that's been going for a while. But so I work downtown in Edmonton, and where I work is like a building that's just like again downtown, and there's a little area right beside my office that is where the Last of Us was. They filmed some scenes in there.
Yeah.
So it's apocalyptic. They have it looking, and it's with the buildings and everything, like the sound, I think that's probably a lot of the reason, like the sound can come off and so kind of can echo or whatever, right?
Sure.
And I had parked and farther away, so I'd have to go for a walk. And I was walking through there one day, just in my own head. And I'm always having a conversation in my head and with myself, and all of a sudden I heard this dog screaming. Now, this dog was screaming so loud, like it sounded as though it was being like tortured or something. Like it was
Mhm.
a horrific noise. Just
Mhm.
put me into like a spin thinking, oh my gosh, where is this dog? And I looked around and I couldn't see it. And I'm almost crying because it's like, oh my gosh, like I got to save this dog. This dog is being like hurt. Why is nobody else doing anything? And as I was kind of like in my stressed mode, I looked ahead of me and there was a man sitting in a SUV, a black SUV. And he kind of looked over at me and he kind of smiled and I could see he was holding a dog. And he was holding this dog from trying to jump into the back seat. And getting into the back seat was another woman, a woman getting in. And so this dog was trying to get at this woman. It was like he was so excited to see her. And that's why he was squealing because he was so
Thanks.
excited. And
Okay.
I just instantly was like, "Oh, thank goodness," right? Okay, he was just really, really happy to see her. Like, I don't know, he must have not seen her for a long time because he was just screaming. But once I realized, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I started to walk away after I smiled and was feeling better. And it just all of a sudden came to me, "Kim, this is what happens when you cross over. W- Before you cross over, and the people who are here, they're scared. They're looking around. They don't know what to do. They're upset. They don't know. It's just, it's just so awful because when you lose someone, there's the crying, there can be the wailing, like there's just those noises, right?
Yeah.
But when as they cross over, it's the same excitement on the other side, but it's the same stuff, but they're so happy to see you. They've never, as if they haven't, like, they're just so excited, so very excited to see you. And that's what it is. And I said, "Kim, this is what happens when you cross over. These people, you're just going into this wonderful world and they're so happy to see you and all your loved ones are there. Anybody you had a heart connection with and your pets, all your pets are going to be there, you know, and
I love that. I
it
love it.
overwhelmed me so much because it was so
Yes.
beautiful and so profound to just have that, experience. And, you know, I can't even say, like, it still to this day makes me feel weepy because just that relief I felt, and then that, like,
No.
exhilaration and that happiness
Yeah.
because, and to know this is what people are feeling, and, they're screaming with happiness,
I love that.
just like, that's what the dog was doing. I
Yeah.
was misinterpreting, and, a lot of life is like that. We misinterpret things,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and it can be very different on either side of what you're looking at, but it could be the same thing. So,
Mhm.
I the rest of my drive home that day was very, very hard because I was trying to stop myself from bawling because it was so emotional.
Oh
And
god, I bet.
it has just stuck with me. Like this has to been probably about 7 or 8 years ago now, that this happened. And it was so beautiful all these years later. And I can still remember it. I can still remember the smells. I can still remember like the feeling of the sun because it was beautiful. It was a nice day.
Oh,
It was very nice. Very,
oh,
very
that's
nice.
wonderful.
So
I love that
I like
story
to
so
hold that.
much.
And your pets are there. All your
Which
pets
is
are
like
there.
always the first thing people,
So
people
I was
say.
just gonna do some quotes of death.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Sorry?
No, I said, yeah, yeah, do the quotes, do the quotes.
Oh no. Huh. Says we're reconnecting again.
Oh, I can see you. It's
What was
recording
that?
fine. Hi.
Okay. But it said we were reconnecting, so
Oh,
very
on your
strange.
pet? No, you're
Very, very
good. You're
strange.
good. Perfect.
Hmm?
You're perfect.
Okay. All right. As good as long as we can hear. We
Yeah.
don't want to lose each other this time.
No, no. You go ahead. You go ahead with the quotes because I love them.
So I just want to do some quotes on death. All right. So the first one is Jimi Hendrix. And he says, "I am the one that's got to die when it's time for me to die. So let me live my life the way I want to."
Yes. I love that quote.
And that's so true. And I
Yes.
I tell that to my kids all the time too. You don't wanna live your life for other people because
Nope.
they don't know who you are. They don't know how you love. They don't know any of that, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Margaret Mitchell, the author of Gone with the Wind,
I
death,
love her.
taxes, and childbirth. There's never any convenient time for any of them, which is true.
Seriously. It's very true. I love her. I love that
Yeah,
movie. I love that book.
something's always gonna happen. Those darn taxes, hey?
Oh, in Canada, I'm telling you, people.
um, so there's a Spanish poet. Again, I'm awful with names, but it's Federico Garcia Lorca, I believe. And he's a Spanish poet that says, "Those who are afraid of death will carry it on their shoulders." So
My
you'll never
God.
get away from it.
Yeah,
It's always going to be with you if you're scared of it. And you can't live.
absolutely.
You can't live while you're doing that. And I have George Eliot, who's an English author, said, "Our dead are never dead to us until we have forgotten them."
Isn't
And
that true,
we
though?
don't forget them. We still talk about them. And they say your spirit still goes until the last person who you've touched says your name.
Oh, you know what's funny? I've heard that before and I love it. I love that so much.
Mhm. Yeah. So you're never going to do. And there was also quickly, I was very worried about. So I do worry about these things, like how the mannerisms of how people cross. And being from Western Canada, I don't know if it's as well known as it is here because we have the Highway of Tears. And this is the murdered and missing Indigenous women. And,
Yeah.
they're going missing. And it's like along this highway. And I've lived on that highway. And it's a very scary thought. The stuff that just happens. And I really worried about those women
Yeah.
or girls. And so Sandra Champlain, she does Coast to Coast Shades of the Afterlife. She does this beautiful podcast. She also does We Don't Die podcast. She's got so many episodes. She's just amazing to listen to. She has people, she just has stories. And she also, on Fridays, a lot of Fridays, she has a trance medium. His name is Scott. And he has a gentleman named Eric come through him. So you can tell, like this, that's not even his voice. He goes from
Mhm.
the voices are very different. You could just the mannerisms and everything when this Eric comes through. And I asked him, what happens when these people cross over? Because I was worried. And,
Of course.
when they've passed away in such a crazy or like potentially very awful
Horrific.
way.
Yeah.
And he said, when they cross over, it's exactly like anybody else. So they come, the family comes and welcomes them, and they have all their loved ones, and they basically keep them sheltered from the mannerisms of their crossing
Yeah.
until they've gotten used to got used to everything, and they've sort of been feeling comfortable. And when it becomes something as simple as saying, "Oh, I went and got the paper today," or "Oh, yeah, I saw, you know, I saw the sunrise this morning." When it's
Right.
something that you could just say out of any day, that's when they will tell them. So it doesn't impact them. They don't have any of that being, and to them, they're just like, okay, at that point,
Oh, good.
and it's just so beautiful. So they don't have that fear. They don't have that, um, you know, terror. They don't go through any of that because they're here. And honestly, when they cross over, it's never painful. When you cross, it's not painful. When you're
Yeah.
crossing over, it's
Yeah.
not painful. You're gone. I've had
Yeah.
several readings, and there are things that happen, but with this, um, with these things, like you're taken away. It's just your soul. Pain and everything is just in this body.
Hmm.
When your
Yep.
soul goes,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's out of this body. That's all it is. This is some people call it the monkey suit. Some people call it your your meat suit or whatever, or
I
just
can't
your,
mix
your,
it up.
you know, yeah. So we need to talk about death like it's a beautiful transition
Mhm.
that we're all going to make, not, just you or the guy down the street. We all are going to do. And we just need to live each day like it's our last. And we need to treat others and with the love and how we want them to remember us at every moment. And, don't hold on to those words that others
Mhm.
might say and celebrate these people who've crossed over. Still celebrate their birthdays. They get a little bit annoyed if you stop
Too.
celebrating their birthday because they're still there. So
And on
celebrate and
Christmases
celebrate
on Christmases,
Christmases,
I
any
celebrate.
holiday. Yeah. And that's what you
Absolutely.
do. Um, Birthdays, even get them a card. You can ask them for, signs like we talked about before. But,
Yeah.
you know, they're they're still with you. If you have a wedding, and they say, "Oh, so and so's not with us." No, they're with you. No, they're with you.
I believe that.
And a lot of them are like, and they don't even give me the food. Like, they don't even set me a plate anymore. And just the
Actually,
idea of being acknowledged like that, they love that.
we do that. We do that at my mom's. Every holiday, whether I mean, I think we do it for Thanksgiving. I think so. Maybe she'll correct me, because she'll probably listen to the episode. But at least for Christmas, what we do is we set an extra plate at the table always. And we're European, so we do it for extra seat at the table for if somebody comes to the door because they want a meal because it's Christmas and Christmas Eve and they don't have anybody. And also for your passed on loved ones. And we also have a candle that we light in the middle of the table. Beautiful candle, white. They're white. Sometimes they'll have a picture of the Virgin Mary or an angel on it, and you light it for your passed on loved ones, so that they there and they celebrate with you. Whatever holiday that you're having.
Mhm.
So, and I love that, and that's a tradition I keep even when I'm not at my mom's house. If I'm with, if it's just me and my kids, or if it's me and my kids and my man friend, same thing. I still celebrate
Yep.
it because I think it's important because I believe that they're there.
Well, and they are. They're there and you need to talk to them. You need to, they're here. They just they love you so much. And they're with you more now than they ever were before because now they have no boundaries. I know I've had a couple of my pets have come through
Oh,
since, and I've gone on other trips and they'll be like, "I was really happy that I was going on trips with you because
oh,
before you used to just leave me at home." And I didn't know,
yeah.
but now I know why you like them so much, right? Because they're coming with
Oh,
my one dog. She came through in a reading and was talking about. I think I was landing in Cuba or something, and she was talking
okay.
about like colors and what I was seeing, and like came through, and I was like, okay, so she is with me, right? Like she was with me. So these are things that you got to remember. They're with
I
you,
love
and they're
that.
enjoying every minute, and they will be there. So you're never alone.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love it. Are you ready for some
Me
stories?
too. I am ready for some stories.
Okay, okay. So there's 3, um, and I found them so, like, anyway, so I did hear about this one before, a long, long time ago, because it's actually a very famous case. Her name is Pam Reynolds. And this happened to her in the 90s. And I remember documentaries about this. I remember interviews about this when I was much younger. It was heavily documented because it was the first like big medical case of documented evidence of what happens when we pass and how our consciousness works. But basically, just to paraphrase, Pam, she was a singer from Georgia and she underwent a very rare and extreme surgery to remove a massive aneurysm in her brain. And we all know how scary aneurysms are because, my God, right? So, to do it, doctors had to
Mhm.
stop her heart, drain the blood from her head, and cool her body down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that is like hypothermic My dog's right at my feet. Cardiac arrest, okay?
I
During that time, she had no brain activity, no heartbeat, and no blood flow. She was clinically dead. She was, right? But during that period, Pam described like kind of floating above her body and watching the entire surgery, and while watching it, being so at calm and so peace and so warm. And she could remember specific instruments they used, a bone saw, not to get gross. She heard female voices commenting
Mhm.
on the size of her arteries. She described events and conversations that were later confirmed by the surgical team, even though she shouldn't have heard a thing, because she was dead, right? Her eyes were also taped shut, and her ears were filled with like the speakers that play like loud clicking sounds, um, to monitor her brain stem activity, right? So the volume was high. She couldn't hear anything. Her brain, it's flatlined, like this. Okay. So when she woke, she also reported though seeing the tunnel, a bunch of deceased loved ones, and her sense of overwhelming peace, love, and warmth before feeling like she had to go back. She felt like she had to go back. See, so this is like the biggest well-known variable, verified near-death experience. Okay, she was clinically dead. She shouldn't have described anything, and it freaked the doctors and the nurses out. It's one of the biggest studies, but the way that she felt, like in a couple interviews, she said that she could never get over that feeling, and she could never get it back because, I mean, she had to come back. I like how she said that. I had to come back because she knew she had to. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that story. Um, but there was another one which I thought was very interesting. This one's much shorter. But there was a neuropsychiatrist. His name was Peter Finwick. I remember reading about this guy as well. He did an actual documentary called, I wrote it down, Glimpses of Death, right? And it neared on BBC. And it was all about near death experiences from people. And he did it also from a scientific standpoint, which of course I would love. But anyway, it aired, and he had all these people writing to him. And there was one story which I really liked because it was from, well, she was an atheist, very
A lot of
scientific,
them
not
are.
religious, right? And she's like, I'm starting this by saying, I am not a religious person. I have a background in science, but I believe in what Dr. Finwick uncovered. And what he uncovered was that our consciousness, it doesn't die. Our bodies die, but we keep going, right? And he had all this
Mhm.
evidence to support that, right? So this woman says that she believes in what he uncovered because in 1999 she was holding her grandfather as he was passing away from kidney failure. He was totally cognate, as we said our goodbyes. She said she felt his body go totally limp, and she knew that the passing had thing. But seconds later, he sat straight up, his face got calm, his eyes were bright, and he was staring straight ahead, focused on nothing. And he uttered the word mama in original Italian language, something she hadn't heard in decades because of his medical thing. So maybe he had dementia and Alzheimer's and he forgot. And he passed away with a smile on her face. And she thinks about that. Her name was Mary Ann all the time. She can't stop thinking about that moment. Can't stop thinking
Hmm.
about it, and that's when she
Beautiful.
became a believer that maybe we don't just become, dust. Our bodies become dust, and we just become these amazing balls of energy moving through and moving onward. I loved it.
Mhm. And we're just this life that we live right now, that that you're sitting in right now, this is just a drop in the ocean, the vast ocean of your spirit's life,
Mhm.
because you don't die. You continuously go on. This is just a
Oh, yeah.
tiny little, just a drop of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be. There's way too many documented cases now. There's way too many stories. I mean, there are even serial killers out there that have stories similar to this. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe not the best example, but just going to show you that anyone who dies, no matter who they are, whether, they are a saint and whether they are, unfortunately a serial killer, they all, shockingly pass away into this weird peaceful, calm demeanor before they go, and and many of them document it, right? Um, I think it's just what it is. That's it. Not, now some people
Yeah.
might say that's not fair because some people, maybe people can be the way that they are. Maybe some people don't deserve, in a sense, a peaceful death, but unfortunately, that's just the way that our consciousnesses are built, right? Is that we all pass peacefully in that sense. That's it.
Well, and when you do get to the other side, you're no longer going to have these fears, resentments, anger, justified. Like this has to be justified. None of that is there anymore because all you will feel for your loved ones or the people are with you, especially the ones that are down there, is just true, pure love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had, people who've come through to people that I've done readings for. And they're people who've done some very horrendous things to them. And they've allowed them to come through and give them a message. And I have one lady that, was some stuff that was not great at all. And like, it was bad. And she had the reading and allowed this person to um, kind of apologize and basically said, I'm sorry. I didn't know better. And a lot of times it's happened to them as well. Right. So,
Hmm.
if,
Yeah.
if you're brought up in a way and you think that's the way things go, you could feel that while you're here that maybe there's something wrong with what you're doing, but you're just so focused, like this is it. Like you don't really
Given
understand
on
how to
better.
change
Yeah.
because you haven't been given that opportunity and but you still can feel that there's something going on. And the next day, she messaged me and said, I think it was like she'd been going to therapy over this for like something like 35 years.
Wow.
And she messaged me and said, like, actually slept last night for the first time
Oh,
in I don't know how long and I at peace, and this morning I got up and I'm at peace. It's
she
gone.
had that release.
Yeah, because she says, "It doesn't matter how much therapy I was doing, like, this is what, it's released me. I know that this is, I know I'm good with it now," you know?
Wow.
And I hope that for anybody who's had an experience like that, if they've had the unfortunate experience that something like that's happened, I I just want people to have that ability to have that peace, to know they didn't deserve it. They didn't do anything wrong. Unfortunately, we ask for these lessons before we cross over. And they say that the harder your life is, the older your soul is. Because the
Oh
first
God, I
souls
believe
are
that.
like, yeah, I'll take this. And then they got all the good stuff and they're all happy. But then when you see people who are going through, like, it's just like, trial after like just you're just oh my gosh, like does anything ever good happen for these people?
Mhm.
Those are the people that have been around and their spirit wants to learn these things. And a lot of times you'll
Yep.
continue to experience these things until you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Once you learn your
Oh yeah.
lesson, you don't need to go through it anymore. And I can tell you myself, I am definitely not the same person as I was, when I started like really being into this and actually,
Mhm.
working with it. So, you know, it's so freeing and to just be able to sit and have a conversation about people who've wronged you or,
Mm.
um, just thoughts and stuff like that to be able to say, no, that doesn't bother me. That's theirs, not mine. I'm good.
Yes.
You know, that is the most amazing feeling to have.
Yeah.
You can just pull
Oh,
yourself out of that because you don't need to be in that.
no, you don't. I was just thinking that. I was like, you don't need to be in that. You don't not need to let that linger. Surrender, let it go.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting because I'm gonna say, oh, okay, I'm gonna say the question. We had a question in from one of my clients. Her name is Stephanie, and you just kind of touched upon it, so I'm gonna ask it now. Okay. So, I
Okay.
did tell her what one of our upcoming episodes was because she wanted to know. And then she's like, well, and I said, why do you want to know? And she's like, well, I just have this question. I always just wondered it since I was a kid. It's probably not a big deal. And I was like, well, give it to me anyway. Anyway, so she said, she's so sweet. She's like, I don't know if it fits in this episode. I was like, they don't have the questions don't have to fit in the episodes, guys. I will read them whenever, right? But her question was interesting. She said, I always wonder, Nikki, if God forgives everyone, even bad people, before they die or after they die. She's Catholic, so I wondered. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
See, that's
I am not Catholic, but I can tell you, you do nothing that
he does,
needs
by the way.
to have God forgive you for, right? You
Yeah, because
don't.
it's a human experience.
No. And when you pass away, you you don't go up to the pearly gates and try to get forgiveness. And this is a part of the, you don't have to be forgiven to be able to go all the way up to the top to heaven, because you're going to be there anyhow. Doesn't matter what you've done. You go through your life review,
Yeah.
and in that life review, you will feel what you've done to people. You will feel those emotions. You will feel good. You will feel bad. You'll have all these feelings. So you don't eh, you don't have to worry about being forgiven, because you are just forgiven. Because you're the one to forgive yourself, and that's what you need to do. Never ever worry about someone else.
No, no.
And
Honestly, ask
in
somebody
my,
who was. Oh, can you hear me? Kim, did we get cut off?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No,
So all
you
I was
can
going to say
hear
is
me.
somebody who was Catholic, and I don't really atone to that religion. To be honest, I am spiritual and more scientific, I guess. But I will say this, even when I had to, go to church and I got baptized, I did confirmation, all that stuff. Even when I was 8, 10, whatever, I questioned quite a bit. The one thing I always knew was that, first of all, whatever your opinions on God, wonderful. But if it is, a supreme being, um, and if forgiveness is a thing, yeah, you're forgiven. Like, I do agree with what Kim said. You don't need anyone's forgiveness. If you think you need God's forgiveness, then you have his. You just have it. You just have it. I think it's more of a human thing, the need for forgiveness. Um,
It
I
is.
don't believe. Yeah, yeah. I don't believe that you need God's
Well,
forgiveness past into, like Kim says. No, there's none of that. It's you're forgiven. That's it.
my
You're
belief
forgiven. Do better.
as a spiritualist is, if God is all loving, all true, unconditional love,
Mhm.
why? Why would he have anything that you need to forgive? Why would you wrong him so bad that you need to forgive? Because he loves you no matter what. It's unconditional love.
Yep,
So there is
exactly.
no forgiveness needed at all.
No, that's a
And
human thing. That is
really,
a
what
human
you
thing.
need to know is, as I say to my children, don't do things that you have to apologize for. Make
Good
that
point.
decision. You can say stuff that you have to apologize, but once you start doing stuff and having to apologize for it over and over and over, well, you're not sorry at that point. So don't do them in the first place, and you don't have to apologize for them, because you have to. In spiritualism, we have 7 principles, and the one that is, I believe I spoke about it in an earlier episode, but you have to take responsibility for every thought, word, and action. That is you.
Yes,
150 million%. Nobody else can
absolutely.
do anything, no, nothing. So you have that responsibility. So if there is something that you've done that has been so wrong, you need to, if you're here and you've done it to someone else, you need to ask forgiveness from them because they're the only ones, you're the only ones with those emotions here. Once you've crossed over, there is forgiveness. There's true love. That's none of these emotions. There's nothing negative.
Hmm.
It's all just
No,
pure true love.
absolutely. Also, just FYI, the whole forgiveness thing. Um, More often than not, 9 times out of 10, it's not actually God's forgiveness that you are seeking, subconsciously. It is your forgiveness that you are seeking for putting yourself in a situation or feeling those feelings. Don't ever need forgiveness for feeling your feelings, by the way. But for a lot of people, I don't think they understand. So when I hear this, I gotta ask for forgiveness from whoever. Why do you have to? You don't have to. What you need is to forgive yourself, and the second that you forgive yourself, that's it. That's all you need, right? Um, but it was still an interesting question because so many people think that, and it makes me sad
Hmm.
because sometimes they live their life with that kind of motto, and they don't really live. Um, and a lot gets compartmentalized with that kind of way of thinking, and it makes me sad. So I'm glad that
Yep.
Kim said no, that because that's not a thing. Forgiveness is not a thing
No,
when it
because,
comes to that, right? You don't need it.
even people can have sins, I guess. I personally don't subscribe to that because it's things that you've done. So to me, they're lessons. And God, if you truly believe that God is this all love, true being, why would they or God, he, she, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
have a problem with you because you may have, I don't know, had premarital relations,
Yeah.
right? Or because you took, maybe you stole some money because you needed some food,
Yeah.
like, or whatever, right? Like whatever. Why, if he is so loving, why? Why would
Mhm.
he?
Yeah.
And why would he want to condemn you to send you down to the fiery place that, well, I don't believe in? He
Yeah.
would never do that.
Exactly.
He loves you.
Yeah. Very good point. No, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I hope anyone listening that feels that feels like, well, is he ever going to forgive me? Is she ever going to? Yes, 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 because there's nothing to forgive. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. If you
You
need the
just need
forgiveness, you
to
most likely get it for
not
yourself.
be the most mean person that you've ever met because you are. You're always going to be the meanest person in your life. No one's ever going to talk to you. Well, there are some nasty people, but in general, you are going to do more damage to yourself than anybody else can
Yep. 100%.
ever.
Yep. I hate that. I hate when people do that to themselves. Drives me crazy.
Hmm. Yep.
Anyways, maybe that's
And
an
we all do
episode
it,
for.
but we need to learn. Yes, we could talk about that in another one. But we
Mm,
just do. You just need to just let it go.
yeah. Yeah,
All we need is love.
exactly.
No.
Ugh, I really liked this episode.
Yeah,
Like, I
me
loved
too.
it. I love
I
that.
love.
I love this episode. Sorry, I got distracted here by reading something for our next episode, but
Oh.
I really liked it. I hoped so many people listening to it really liked this one. Share below. Let me and Kim know if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you have stories yourself you want to share about, your thoughts on the afterlife or what happens right before, or any near death experiences that you've read or heard of, possibly yourself
Mhm.
experienced. If you feel like sharing, you share. Our email is down there as well. So are our account. So you don't have to, you can share anonymously as well. But we'd love to hear
Mhm.
it. And also, Kim, I have to say something. We are getting so many kind words about this podcast. Like
I know.
everybody's
I know.
supportive. Like it's It's so uplifting. Like, it just puts me in such
It
a
is.
high, like, I'm so grateful to I'm so grateful to all these people, commenting, people who are messaging me and Kim separately. We get them all, we share them with each other. Like, um, you guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. You're just freaking fantastic.
You know, they're beautiful, and this for us, it kind of just started off as a, well, what are we going to do? I don't know. And then just knowing that this was something we needed to do, but it has all fallen into place and we love it. It's the one thing that it doesn't matter what we're doing, what kind of day we're having. We connect, we will record, and the day's right again.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly,
it's
exactly.
just
Um,
you confirming that, us going out with all our vulnerabilities, because, like we're just wide open while we're doing this. We could have people
yeah.
saying, you guys are, you know, you're crazy or whatever. But yes, I am crazy. So that doesn't really matter. Probably wouldn't affect me too much. But um, we're all a little crazy.
Of course we are. That's the best thing to be.
That's what makes
You
us
don't wanna
different.
not be crazy.
Nope.
I love it.
Nope. Then you're too stuffy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not what life's about. I mean, the purpose of life,
No,
life purpose, whatever, what's the meaning of life? I'm telling you right now, I mean, nobody has the true answer to that, but I am a big firm believer that the meaning of life is human connection and freaking having fun
absolutely.
and enjoying what you're
Hmm.
doing and who you're with. That's it. I'm sorry, that's the meaning of life, and I will die on that mountain. But
Yes.
yeah.
And if you have ideas of things that you want us to talk about,
Yeah.
email us too, message us, say, hey, I'd be interested in, even if it's not, if it's more than a question, like, oh, I would like to know have you guys discuss about whatever. And we
Yeah,
will do that because this is for you
absolutely.
and for us because we love it.
Oh,
But we
we
need
do.
people to
We
be
we do.
liking and sharing and getting it out there so we can get the algorithm. So the people who need to hear these things are going to hear it.
Exactly. Another good point. Thank you. I always forget to say that. I do say comment and like, but I always forget to say share and pass it along and all that stuff. So thank you,
Mhm.
Kim, for bringing that up because that is definitely something that we would
Oh,
appreciate if you
and
guys did.
we will never ever reach out to you to give you a reading
Yes.
or,
Yes. Now.
ever. Please know that I have to see, I see so many people being taken advantage of. I know we've talked about this before, but I just want to remind people, we do our own thing, and neither Nikki or I have the time or the energy to start reaching out to people to just give readings freely. So
100%.
we've talked about staying away from those. So just so you know, not that we don't love you, because we absolutely do. We will answer your questions.
Uh,
We will do. You can reach out to us for a reading, but we are not going to say, hey, guess what? I was thinking that you need a reading, because that's just not how we work.
no, absolutely. That is absolutely not how we work at all. Um, so if that happens, you know what? Let us know. Actually, if somebody jumps into your DMs and says, "Hey, it's just Nikki from Spiritual Cafe podcast. It's just Kim." You let us know because no, that's not us. No, definitely not.
Nope, nope,
Um,
never.
I guess
And they're
it's time
slight.
to
They're so slight.
introduce. I know. I know you're right, Kim. They're very sneaky the way that they do it. They're very sneaky.
Hmm.
But I guess it's time to introduce the next episode, which is going to be something that we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to do it every holiday season or what, but we're going to have episodes where we're going to tell stories in a way. So the next episode is going to feature
Be like
a
a story
bunch
time.
of story time. Yes, story time. King's right. It's going to be like Spirit Cafe session, story time, paranormal edition because it's Halloween, which is my absolute favorite. So for this week's episode, well, next week's episode coming for you guys, We are going to be sharing a bunch of scary, spooky stories from you guys, from readers. I already have had 5 come in, and we just advertised it the other day, so I'm super excited to read a handful of those. Maybe Kim and I will share some of ours. Maybe, maybe not. You'll have to tune in to see. But yeah, and then we plan
Hmm.
to do this also at Christmas time, which I'm also excited for, even though I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of Christmas. But I'm excited for the Christmas
And then
edition
we'll
because
talk
it's
about
gonna
Christmas
be,
stories.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So I think that's it. I think we're
Well,
done for the evening.
hmm thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening to us talk about uncomfortable death, but start talking about it. Start normalizing it. Make it just a regular conversation so less people are scared of that because we're going to get there anyhow. So you might as well be good with it and
Exactly.
you might as well live on your way there.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Okay, guys, thank
So,
you for tuning in. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you next week.
yes, have a great one and much love to you.